I'm Steve Jeppy, and I'd like to welcome you to Jeppy's Entertainment Museum.
Hi, welcome to Two Guys in a Comic Book. I'm Zach.
I'm Michael.
Stay tuned for some very cool stuff, and also this guy just getting ornery.
This guy just is kind of creeping me out, though.
He's a little odd.
Everywhere I look, he seems to be there.
It's okay.
Yeah, and it's really weird because everywhere I look, I think this guy's following me around.
That's all right. I have your meds. We'll take care of that.
He's in my head. If I rub his belly, will he go away?
No, that's Buddha.
Okay.
All right. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay.
But I took a couple minutes while we're taping Let's Make a Deal because growing up, I was just telling the audience that I grew up reading comics. I think that comics really helped influence the way that I think and I process in my imagination, and that's why I started doing improvisation and writing because which kid didn't want to be Superman? Now the thing is, as awesome as it is to be Superman, imagine yourself growing up in the 70s and the early 80s. It's awesome to want to be Superman, but you also want to be someone that looks like you. And it was really, really an amazing breakthrough culturally when Milestone came on the scene and I first read Icon, because you finally saw someone who looked like you, who may have grown up in the same place as you, doing these incredible feats. And for a second, you could let your imagination run wild. And I think that that's part of the amazing thing about Icon and the Milestone line and everyone connected with Milestone is it gave a little nerdy kid like me who loved comics, who loved drawing comics, who dreamt of one day growing up and making his own books, it gave me something to shoot for. And I think that that's an amazing thing, whether you're white, black, red, purple, any kid. And anytime you have something that you could go, oh, that could be me, that's an amazing thing. So as a fan, I want to say thank you, Milestone, thank you, Michael, and I welcome everybody to get to the museum. Have a wonderful time and keep on dreaming.
Oh, man. Jeez, Zach.
What were you dreaming about?
I was dreaming about this guy who was following me all around, and he scared me as much as what I was watching on TV last night.
You're off your meds again, aren't you?
I am off the meds. Did you catch The Walking Dead last night?
Walking Dead was fantastic last night, and
Love that show.
this season has been very, very action-packed so far. They've done a very good job of making sure that we picked up right where we left off. And the one complaint I've always had is that there's not enough zombie killing and not enough dealing with the universe around them, and we've got a lot of that so far. It's been just awesome so far.
It has been amazing. The suspense, the action, the horror. That first show, I don't know if you saw the first show,
Okay.
but with the and the thing with the I don't want to do spoilers. And that's
The one thing I love about what you're talking about, that scene, which we won't spoil for anybody.
Yep.
When you watch it and you see Glenn's reaction, that's the first time you've seen it because they hit all the animatronics and everything. So when they have that moment, no one knew it was coming. So when the thing went, and then it was shock to everybody, kind of like what they did in the original.
my face kind of looked like this guy right here.
Yes. So I was digging that. Also, at the end of this last episode, I'm really excited because what they're going to go ahead and do, I think, is they're going to go ahead and play on something that's been in the books with Dale, who is no longer with us in the show.
I love the books. I'm a big reader of the comic books, and that they tie in often with the stuff that they're doing on the TV.
Exactly, and they do a very good job also of really bringing that stuff in without just copying exactly what they did in the books. Look what they did last season with the two little girls. That was done in the books with two boys, and we had a different way of approaching it with the gender bend, so I loved it.
You know, before we go any further, this guy's really kind of creeping me out. So.
All I was trying to do was think of the thing that would be the least dangerous to us. I remember Summers with Stay Puft Man.
He's scary.
Okay.
And you know what's also scary?
What?
Your voice. What's wrong with it?
Well, I happen to do Annapolis Comic Con on Sunday, so because of that, my voice is a little shot. It's normal con stuff. Luckily, it's not con crud. It's just I talk too much to people.
See, I thought you were trying to do I'm Batman thing. No, like you did that. Remember that time you a whole week of I'm Batman?
The guest really didn't like that.
So, The Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead.
New stuff just came out. Woohoo!
Oh my God, I love these AP editions. I love the artist editions. IDW does a really good job with the bigger ones. I love this smaller one because it's affordable first off, which the IDW ones can get a touch on the pricey side. But this is just as good as everything else, because when you take a look at it, you really get
Show
in
them
there.
what it's like.
It is just, you can see so much of the work the artists do on the panels and the pages. You can see the way the lettering goes in. You can just really see the detail and how much love and time every shot put in there. And then when you take a look at these large splash pages like this, it's just awesome to see what they do.
Now, for the people that don't know, an artist edition differs from maybe the regular edition, because what you'll see here, if you notice when Zach was showing you, you don't see any color stuff. These are just the original pencils that they handed from the artist straight to the inkers, straight to the color people, and then they work on them to turn into the magic that you see when you get it in your hand. But this is the original stuff, and it's so cool to see it raw.
And this is where the storytelling begins, because shade, when you have inkers and you have colorists, they add depth and different things to it. But this is where they can really get the cues. This is where you have the writer and the artist working together to go ahead and go, all right, whenever Negan's coming through, I want to make sure that you get him as the focal point, but you surround him with other people. You make sure you give him a little bit of a lighter color so they can go ahead and fix it and post and do all that sort of stuff.
I agree. He's scary.
That thing is very frightening.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. He was handy.
Yeah, he was.
Thank you. So, what else do we have available here to talk about in terms of Walking Dead stuff?
Well, we have a whole bunch of Walking Dead stuff. We carry all 22 volumes that are out right now in the smaller trades. We have the first and second compendiums. We always carry those as well. We carry some of the most recent issues. Whenever there's a new Walking Dead issue comes out, we have at least a couple here in the store. And the other thing we can do that I don't carry, but we can order books like said artist edition, as well as there's a covers hardback we can do, and then there are hardback versions of the series. I think they're in 10 volumes now. So we can do anything and everything Walking Dead. Plus, if you can't see by the plethora of Walking Dead behind us.
But you know what I really like about this?
What was that?
It allows you not only to see the pencil work, but to see how, if you grab one of the original books, all the little processes that go together to take it from here, which was just one guy drawn with a pencil, all the way to the finished product.
And that is an important thing in the storytelling, because the artist and the writer, when they first do these first set, they're the ones that set everything up. It's kind of like a director and a executive producer sitting together and figuring out how they're going to stage the shots, how they're going to go ahead and do it, except it's in comic form. You have these guys sitting down and figuring out what's the facial expression going to be, what's going to be going on around them, what are the zombies going to look like. And I really love the fact that you get to see all the work that's put in before it goes to the inker, who goes ahead and gives the different thing a little more depth, a little more shading, goes ahead and makes his burrow even.
Inking is neat because it takes all the shading and puts in the shading and the depth and really gives it detail that you wouldn't normally see.
Exactly.
And then what happens after like the inking?
After the inking, there is the lettering that it goes in as well. And now this one is very weird because it has the lettering already in it. I think it's because Adler does the lettering. So you have where he's gone ahead and gone through and done all this, and then where he's made space for the word bubbles, he goes in and puts it. But the lettering is one of the most important things because they have to take the script and fit it into the area that they're supposed to have.
Adler, by the way, is the guy who does all the artwork for this.
Yes.
The comic is written by a gentleman by the name of Robert Kirkman. But Adler does all the art. It's just amazing. I've met him at a bunch of cons.
Okay.
Very nice guy and always willing to sign things, which is great.
That's always nice because when you go to cons, sometimes you have some people that, my favorite line I've ever heard from artists is, you don't get to be Stan Lee by not charging for your autograph.
So we've inked it. Now it goes to what? The colors?
Well, with this is a little different because there is no colors. It is done in black and white, so the inker really is the last stop for this. For most comics, though, after you go through and you have the artist take care of everything with the writer, it then goes to the inkers, and then it goes to the colors to goes ahead and adds. For example, Superman's suit, does Batman's cape, does, any of the different comics that you've seen, they're the ones that kind of bring it to life and really make all the, not just the lines and the shading pop, but make the suits and the actual world around it pop.
It is pretty amazing to compare the basic ones here and take the final product and look at how the colors just really bring things out and make them jump and grab your attention.
Exactly. It's one of those things I wish I had the talent to do. I can't imagine the amount of time that goes into this. We've had our artist friend in here before, Sean, who's talked about how he says he can do about a page a day. And I can't, that sounds like a lot of work to me, just to the idea of it. And then, there are artists that are out there that are doing books in a week, doing books every 2 weeks, and
And
I don't know
then
how you
at
keep up with
cons,
that.
when I go to see people, some of the artists are pretty darn amazing
Mm-hmm.
because you'll ask them for what's called a quick sketch, which isn't a really deep, involved things like the things that you'd see in here, but the things that they can whip out in like 3 minutes or less are
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous and stunning and just amazing.
I just came back from New York at the beginning of the month. My wife was kind enough to meet one of the artists who'll be working with Valiant. He did a quick little sketch in his book, his personal book that he did, and it was spectacular because he did it, she said, like 90 seconds just freehand. And I can't imagine just having that level of talent.
I don't.
Me either,
I,
so-
I have a friend, he's an artist. When he leaves, I sit down at his table, I pull his gorgeous artwork in front of me, and people come up to me and go, "Can I have a sketch?" And I put it aside, and I do a stick figure drawing, and they just look horrified. And I'm like, I'm not him.
Yeah, it's like, he'll be back in a little bit. This is
do
what
that.
you get from me.
So, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit about this. We got another neat thing to talk about when we come back.
The show is titled Milestones. It's a nod to Milestone Media since it's the 20th anniversary. We are celebrating what came from Milestone, but it wasn't necessarily entirely just Milestone. The show really represents what Milestone represented, the artwork that came before Milestone and set the way for there to even be a milestone, and then also shining light on what has come and what has been inspired by Milestone Media. We went twofold. Michael Davis has really great connections with various comic book legends and working comics today, and made a lot of personal phone calls and invited people firsthand. But we also wanted to make sure that we could shine a light on up-and-coming artists. Everyone has a story, and sometimes we focus in on what stories are told in the media and what we are told to look at, and we forget that there's a story behind the story, and that there's lots of different elements that come together to create it. And that was important for me for the show, is just showing that. And that's what I think the show really does, is it tells various stories from the Milestone era to the Afrofuturism artwork that is really gaining momentum right now, to all sorts of things. And we have a website for the show, milestonestheshow.com. I won't spell it out since it's going to be written right below me. Milestonestheshow.com, read it right below me.
And speaking of like TV stuff,
Yes.
there have been so many cool comics that have been carrying over to TV shows.
Exactly, and I mean, we have a few of them right here.
Excellent.
One of the first ones is we're going to talk about The Flash, because what's great is that the CW has finally gone ahead and taken a character that, in all honesty, is a little more lighthearted than your normal DC fare, and has put them on TV. It's not like Smallville, so there's either a good or a bad to some people. But what I love about this show is that they've really grabbed the innocence that is Barry Allen.
In a sense, and I like the comedy aspect of it.
Okay.
If you watch another show, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but not yet,
Okay.
This one is so much lighter and airier, and they didn't spend a lot of time on origin story. It's like, boom, right away, first episode, done.
And I really like they did that. It's kind of believing that the watcher, the television viewer is smart enough to go, okay, I know this is a superhero show. I can just jump right in and go with it. So I love the fact that we actually have that going on, where they're willing to go ahead and actually just trust the audience is smart enough to get it. Now, the other show you're talking about, that's a little darker and a little rougher around the edges, is of course
Arrow.
its sister show, Arrow, which is in all honesty, I am a big Green Arrow fan.
Absolutely,
I've
have been for years.
My big thing, I started when Kevin Smith relaunched it. I want to say at this point almost 15 years ago. Maybe it has been. It's been a long time. But I started reading it at that point in time.
I'd recommend a run by Mike Grell, which
Okay.
was my favorite Arrow run.
Is that the stuff is that the Longbow Hunter stuff?
Longbow Hunter stuff
That's
was great.
Always one of those ones I have on the to read pile.
And a lot of people don't know about this, but Grell, who's like also one of my favorite artists, is an actual hunter. He goes to Africa all the
Really?
time and hunts down big wild boar and elephants and legal elephants and all sorts of things. But he took a lot of what he learned from there and brought it into the Green Arrow stuff.
Completely different than Kevin Smith, who looks a lot more like me and doesn't hunt at all. But I will say about the show, basically, it's the Batman show we never got. But beside doing that, I really enjoy Stephen Amell's portrayal of this Oliver Queen, and it's also based a lot off of the first an Arrow book called Year One, which is where they stole the idea of him being on the island and him having to go there and learning how to be Green Arrow and survive.
This one's been on the air for, what is it, third season now?
Third season started a few
And
weeks ago.
Flash, just so you guys know, started only about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So you can jump on the boat right here and really, get with it right away, right quick. And what's cool is the shows are kind of crossing over because they're done by the same people. So on the first show, Flash showed up with the Arrow to ask him for some advice and things.
Exactly, and then the other thing you have too that's going on there is if you go back to last season, there's a couple episodes where Barry Allen is introduced as a character, and that's how we started the whole universe off of. There's more than just Arrow. There's all these metahumans, as they called them now, running around.
But I'm going to get geeky here because I want Felicity to end up with Arrow. She's like Arrow's assistant. She's really gorgeous and just smart, and I love her. And I think they belong together, but I think they're going to try to hook her up with Flash.
As long as Laurel doesn't end up being Black Canary, I'm okay with anything. So, now another show we want to talk about, and this one is a little more in your neck of the woods as far as what's going on, is Sleepy Hollow. Now maybe you can talk a little bit about it because I am unfortunately
Sleepy Hollow and Ichabod Crane. It's a great story, been around for years and years and years and years. We all know about it with Ichabod Crane going out and seeing the headless horseman out on the moors and just ultra scary. They've taken that original story, brought it into modern times, and really made it fun, kitschy, intelligent, and hooking it up like all sorts of major historical characters, George Washington and Ben Franklin, and they're pulling all these guys in and showing how they were into just all sorts of weird, wacky stuff, trying to prevent, basically, the storyline is that they're trying to prevent the four horsemen of the apocalypse from coming into Sleepy Hollow, coming into our world, and taking over.
Okay, well that's very, very cool. Like I said, I unfortunately did not get on the bandwagon with this. Same way with the show Grimm, which sounds like they're very much the same thing. I am excited though because this sounds like something I would want to catch up on one of those streaming sites that you can go ahead and just kind of eat everything at once. Between this and also I am excited because there's another thing that we don't have anything to tie into yet, but that is Constantine starting this coming Friday. And that is going to be very, very well done. They took away the smoking, which I'm a little upset about, but aside from that, it seems like they've got everything else right.
That's just wrong. I'm sorry. I don't like smoking. I've always hated smoking. Kids don't smoke.
Exactly.
But it's part of the character. It has been since day one.
And it's one of those things where he is an anti-hero. The best way to go ahead and really sell him as an anti-hero is have that part of his part of his lineage. Because at the end of the day, when he goes around, he's running doing things. I don't think the Constantine character, which is naturally kind of charming in the books and also from what we get from the show, I don't think it's going to be enough to really cast him in that anti-hero light. And him running around smoking a cigarette when he's not supposed to in a new world where you can't smoke indoors, the sight of him walking into a shopping mall that's possessed by demons and lighting a cigarette and telling,
I hate it when that happens, by the way.
Exactly, so it's the worst thing ever. But and then telling the, security guard that, go scratch. I think that's a very cool idea and a very way to go ahead and make him the true anti-hero that he's supposed to be.
Absolutely. When I was at the last show, and I saw the pilot for Constantine, it was really neat, and I walked out of there and I started walking the show floor, and I saw an artist that I hadn't really heard of before, and on the table, he had her next book that I want to talk about.
All right, let's go ahead.
And I was like, what's that? Pitch it to me, because that's the term, pitch. Here was his pitch, and right away I went and bought 6 issues in a row. And what's really cool is that this show now, that was like, I think about 6-7 months ago, has been bought for TV. It's going to be a brand new TV show, and it should be great. But here was his pitch in a nutshell, and tell me, irresistible, right? President, as you guys might or might not know, when a new president comes in, he leaves an envelope, a letter to the incoming president. And the incoming president comes in, there's an election, and he opens up this letter, and the letter basically says, UFOs have been discovered just outside our planetary region. They seem to be building something. We don't know whether it's a weapon. We don't know if they're friendly. We don't know what's happening with them. Now it's your problem. Bye-bye.
That's kind of the worst letter to get. It's that and a Dear John letter. Sorry, I'm leaving you, or by the way, aliens are coming to take over the world. Have fun.
I hate it when that happens.
I do too, and I want to take a moment too to also talk about this because it's being written by a gentleman. Because I'm assuming you spoke with Alberto, who's the artist on it. The writer on the book is actually Charlie Soule. It's cool, and the reason I bring this up is because he just signed an exclusive deal with Marvel. It's one of the exclusive deals are one of those things that don't really stick around a lot, and I've kind of gone the way of the dodo. But it's cool to see someone like Charlie Soule, who before he was on that, he was working for all these different companies. He was writing 7 monthly books. Now, that's a ton of books, and that in itself is a full-time job. Then throw in the fact that he's a full-time billable lawyer, throwing 40 hours of billable time out there a week, and he's writing all this stuff, and it's amazing because it's good. You can write bad fiction very easily, but to be able to write good fiction and actually make it entertaining, like Letter 44 or his run on She-Hulk. Also, there's I've absolutely loved his run on Swamp Thing.
We got some other wonderful, I was going to go Marvel stuff because, to me, our next guy that we're going to talk about always worked for Marvel. So when I think of him, I go, oh, here's another Marvel book, but I'm wrong. This is his first time jumping to another company. He just signed an exclusive deal.
Was it an exclusive deal?
I think it was an exclusive deal.
Okay.
And it's just a big, huge one because he's an extraordinarily great artist, super nice guy, comes from family history.
His second generation Marvel.
Yep.
And that's John Romita Jr. John Romita Jr., first off, is one of my favorite artists.
Absolutely.
I love everything he's done from his Enemy of the State, Wolverine. I really dug everything he did with Brian Michael Bendis in that first few 12 issues of the Avengers run after during the Heroic Age. I love his entire Spider-Man run with J. Michael Straczynski. John Romita Jr. is my favorite artist. He's the one that I'm the most excited to ever get to see anything or talk to because he's just
nice guy.
Everything he does, I love how simplistic it looks, but there's so much difference that goes into it. But
this just started I think this is the first issue of his run, and I think he's done
2 more issues in.
Yeah.
So we're at number 34 is the last one that was released.
Yeah.
And he's writing it with Jeff Johns, who is, if you're going to go ahead and compare him to anyone, he is Stan Lee of the modern DC universe. He has kind of been the one that reinvented all the Green Lantern stuff and gave us all the different color spectrums. He's also the one that went in there and gave us the Flash and brought Barry Allen back to life. He's the one that's kind of been responsible for the entire creative direction of DC Comics for the last 10 years.
Making the choice of getting Romita has been excellent.
And they've worked so well together because Romita Jr.'s style is very much like what you get in a lot of Superman stuff, where it's him telling a story and it's him working on the characters behind him and showing everything.
And Romita is just excellent at drawing action.
Exactly.
And panels and movement, and it's exciting to look through the book.
And for him to work with someone like Johns, it's even better because he's an action guy. Look at all his Green Lantern stuff from that time frame. It's all very action-packed, very action-oriented. And this is just a great thing. It also helps that they're coming on the heels of a Superman book that's been kind of meh since the New 52, in my honest opinion.
This was a nice new jump start, a new direction, and I'm really excited to see where this one goes.
Yep.
But they aren't the only ones doing new directions.
Yeah.
What about,
Let's go ahead and talk about this first, and that's going to be Thor. Now, I will be the first to admit,
Great dude.
I'm a huge Jason Aaron fan, who is the writer of this book. And I've been reading this from the beginning, where he started with a book called Thor: God of Thunder. All the volumes are in trade now. And what's great about this is that from everything that we've heard, this was part of the plan. There's a lot of news that came from different news sites that really said that it was Marvel trying to go ahead and kind of take over the idea of a female.
What's part of the plan?
Well, it's all part of the plan in the fact that they wanted to go ahead, and when he pitched after about 25 issues, Lady Thor was going to show up.
Lady Thor, not a dude.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about it, is that you have this huge changing of the guard. And Marvel is doing that across the board. We have, of course, Lady Thor here, and there's other things coming. As you have Falcon taking over the mantle of Captain America.
Oh, is Thor still around?
Thor's still around. He's running around with a giant axe, just messing stuff up.
For those of you who aren't following the story, it was kind of cool. I won't ruin the whole thing, but let's just say that the Thor's hammer was on the moon. Somebody whispered something in his ear, and all of a sudden he lost all his powers. And he's trying to lift this hammer that was his main weapon.
He became
and
unworthy.
He can't. And then unworthy. And then just a little while later, this mysterious lady, we don't even know who she is yet, comes up and is able to pick up his hammer and start going to town.
Exactly, and I really love, again, I love the direction of Marvel Creative. Like I said, we've talked about they're really kind of rotating everyone around, and that leads to their big event book that they're doing this fall and winter called Axis. Now, what's great about this is you see a lot of these people coming in. You see Falcon Captain America being such a huge part of the story. Also, there's a big thing here where you see Tony going through and becoming the new character that we're going to get in December called Superior Iron Man. And the Superior line is always meant to go ahead and be a less than stellar character, as they did in the last run with Superior Spider-Man when Doc Ock took over Peter Parker's body. Spoiler, by the way. So Marvel is really doing a very good job of trying to go ahead and really evolve their character base. And another thing they've done, which is kind of a big move for them, is
Are they
that
killing people again?
they killed Wolverine. Wow, someone's not a fan of Wolverine. I've just finished this, and I will say this: it's very interesting as far as what they're going to do with the rest of the Claw family. In fact, Charlie Soule, who we just talked about in Letter 44, he's going to be doing a monthly series starting in, I believe it is January or February, with the Claw family. And it's going to be a weekly series of him telling different stories through the different people that are in Logan's lineage. People like X-23, Sabretooth, Mystique, all the different people that have been involved in the storytellings throughout all the years. They're going to go ahead and try and do an entire story based around all of them, dealing with the loss of Wolverine. And I will say this, I feel he has missed a lot in the event book that we talked about, but I love the idea, much like when Cap passed away a few years ago, and when they went ahead and they, like I said, spoiler, Peter Parker is no longer Spider-Man. I love the idea of what...
Gosh, you're just ruining it for everybody out there.
I am just all over the place with this. All right, now, well, I'll tell you what we can go ahead and do. We have a few more things we can talk about. Why don't we go to break right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll be back and tell about some of the other cool stuff we have in the museum.
The show is titled Milestones. It's a nod to Milestone Media since it's the 20th anniversary. We are celebrating what came from Milestone, but it wasn't necessary.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Two Guys in a Comic Book. Please stay tuned for part 2 of the episode, and I promise, eventually I'll stop doing this.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right.
Well, just say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.